Where are you at? Where are you going? Purdue's good. What do you study? Nice. Yeah, I used to do Purdue engineering before. Good place. They had a great experience over there. But after that, he came home quite quickly. Something about the US and the ice. You know what ice is, right? Something about US and the ice scared him a lot. So he came back quite quickly. No, not that kind of ice. ICE is it's an acronym for the department that arrests illegal people. You know, aliens. So the illegal arrest, arrest without warrant or reason or due process kind of guys. So just watch yourself out there. Yeah. Good luck. So you just finished Form 5? When are you done? Me? Okay, so you haven't set the exams yet? Yeah. So, yeah, sorry, yeah, you'll be done very soon. Which school again? Which school are you at? Seven Skies. Oh, Mr. Pupner. You know, yeah, Mr. Pupner is the one there. Yeah, I just met him last week at the fair. Really nice guy. Okay. I have my own computer, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay, so DP, even you know the IB already. You went through the DP? Where? Say SJI. Pretty building. It is a beautiful building. Very nice. Okay, thank you. Yes. Just want to find out which program are you thinking about?
I'm not even thinking about program. I'm just thinking about school.
Okay. Okay. How old are your kids?
She's going to be 12 this June.
Year 7?
Yes. Yeah, so she's in year 6 now.
6. Which school?
SKC.
So she's end of primary right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're thinking about secondary school.
Yes.
Okay. And you're basically just looking at schools at the moment.
Correct.
Okay. So my suggestion is, as you listen, the first question you should ask is not school, it's program.
Really?
Yeah, because there's a big difference in the programs. I'll explain it to you. But you keep an eye on that, and then after you've chosen program, then you choose school. Because the program actually changes everything. You're an IB student, right? You did the IGCSE before that, SGI? Yeah, you did the O-levels at St. Joseph's. Yeah, it's okay. But you did the IGCSE before, right? The O-levels is Morning, come please have a seat. There's only a few of us, so don't take your back seats. Come on in. Okay, we're going to start on time. I've already asked a few about their particular issues. I just want to check the room before we begin. What particularly you'd like to find out? Any burning questions? And can you just check with yourself, ma'am? What would you like to find out before we start?
On top of my head, I just want to see how the campus is.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of at the moment.
That's all right. What's your name, sorry?
It's Dewi.
Sorry?
Dewi.
Dewi.
Yes.
And your son?
Sharif.
Sharif. Hi.
And he's not the wife for ID. His
Okay.
brother is.
His brother. Just with IB diploma?
ID diploma, yes.
Okay, got it. And yourselves?
My name is Tamaru.
Tamaru.
I'm here different than the others. Here to recruit students.
Absolutely.
For
Yeah.
school.
Are there any particular questions you want to find out?
Just two.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're gonna get started. There's quite a few people that's on the way. Malaysians being Malaysians, on time is a bit too much to ask, unfortunately. So we're gonna get going. This will be about a half an hour monologue, after which I'd really like to invite you guys to ask at least one quick question. So you've taken the effort to get out of bed today and come on a Saturday morning, and I know there's a lot of other things that we'd rather be doing on a Saturday morning. So make the best use of your time and think of the worst, hardest question that you can potentially ask me. At least make it worth your while. I mean, you're a TOK student, so you should be able to do that, right? Like, don't ask me about the tree falling in the forest, though. That's a bit silly. You know that one, right? If the tree fell in the forest, did it fall? And nobody saw it, did it fall at all? Ah, you're an IB student. They didn't teach you properly in SGI, is it? Okay, let's begin. The first part, I want to just highlight. I've been in education for 2009, so it's 16 years now. Okay, and I remember, I want to share with you two stories to really get the scene going. The first is, there are actually two students from the same school. I started the IB diploma program in about 2012. And in order to start, I brought in two of the best scholars I could probably get my hands on. Two 10A star SPM students. Now these are in Chonghua, the Chinese school down there. These were the best I could get my hands on. These are the best in the entire school. And if you don't know, in one class in those schools, they've got 800 students in 1 year level. So they'd be the best out of all of those guys. These two, number one and number two. Two girls. They both came up to me one day as I brought them in as scholars. I think it was over break time or lunchtime, I can't remember. And they said, Dr. Vincent, your teachers aren't very good. I was like, oh my gosh, these are my best kids and they're saying your teachers aren't good. Okay, so what's wrong? And I said, well, two things. One, when we studied for the exam, your teacher didn't tell us which pages to study from. Which pages are coming up for the exam. Now, if you're an IGCSE student or a Chinese school student, you'll know this sentiment very well. They tell you where the exam starts and where the exam ends. The second one is, the teacher did not go through the revision week properly because the questions that he went through in the revision week did not come out in the exam. Very, very classic thing as well, you know, because you have to understand the mentality that's heavily prevalent in these high-performance locations where they're just gunning for 1 point each time. Now, if you understand those two stories, the first thing that you'll get is there's something wrong here. There's something terribly, terribly wrong. I take it you own your own company, or at least you're in a position to hire and fire people. Have you ever promoted someone on the basis that they completed an examination well? No, never in your life. Please come on in, have a seat. Try not to run too far to the back because we're not too big a group, otherwise I'll be yelling down the road. The reality is that this exam structure that we have and this hyper leaning on exam scores in 1 point and 2 points, it's completely out of touch with what you know as a businessman, and I'm pretty sure everybody else here who has ever interviewed, recruited, promoted, or fired anyone knows this intuitively. You'll never promote somebody on the basis of whether they complete an exam. You'll promote them on the basis that they can solve problems for you, think creatively, work in a group, and communicate to you what they're trying to do. And maybe write a proposal every now and then, depending on the level. But you won't hire and fire them because of an exam paper. But yet the only marker of success that your children are being trained in, and this is 11 years of education, is an exam where you sit down for an hour, 2 hours, and just have a pencil and mark things on a paper where you get 1 point, 2 points. It doesn't make any sense. And I want us all to start with this in mind, to get the frame right. So, first of all, I'd like to welcome you to Fairview International School. Thank you for spending your Saturday morning to come and visit us. My name is Dr. Vincent. I'm the group principal and the principal here at this campus. I might be relieved of my duties soon to pass it on to another person, I will tell you that much. Her name is Dr. Evans, she's my deputy principal, been in training for the last 6 years, so I think it's time for me to hand over the reins, but same really, she knows what I'm up to, being working with me for that long. I'm going to share with you a little bit about Fairview. It's going to take about 35 minutes. And as I shared with a couple of people already, to the newcomers, I'm going to encourage you, by the end of this presentation, please think of one really hard, nasty question to ask me. Something you dare not ask anyone else to make your time really worth it, right? Otherwise, you're just messing around in another presentation and warming the chair. It's really boring. So we're going to start with this. Welcome, come on in, have a seat. No worries. Welcome. Okay. Before you come into a school, the first thing that you need to know is what is a school all about. Like there are some schools that are all about the Italian brothers. Okay, they're missionary schools. There are some schools that are all about prestige, Eton or Harrow, this kind of thing. There are some schools where their only way that they want to, talk to you. Our USP is our students are the son of the Brunei king and the Dato here and the Sir there. There are many things that schools pride themselves in their innate culture. And I want you to understand who we are and be very clear about this. We are what we believe in. We believe in this statement over here. Quality education for every child. It's a very, very simple purpose statement. And what it means is quality education, it's not about exams. It's about making sure that we continually deliver the best quality education we can. Right? And that means pushing the boundaries all the time. Now to us today, I can tell you, I've researched a lot of things before, and the IB is definitely the best curriculum I've seen so far. The second part, every child, means we want to do this accessibly. We don't believe that good schools or good education should only be for kids who can afford to go to very big, beautiful campuses like SJI. Right? It was a very nice campus though. Or pay $120,000 a year to go to an international school. We believe that's wrong. Good education should be for everybody, otherwise we're just widening the social divide. And that's a little bit of philosophy on our part. Okay? We don't want to be a part of the problem. And we believe it's good for everybody. And I'll tell you how we do it later. But first, the Fairview group actually consists of 4 parts. And I'll just share with you the overview. We have the international schools on the top right. We actually have a university with us on the top left. And this university, I will mention it later, and you'll see why it's really important. The university is a focused university with only one faculty. We teach teachers how to teach. There's a particular reason for that. We also have an arts venue upstairs. We'll show you upstairs later on. And we do a lot of these outdoor camps and international expeditions. So we've got a travel agency while we're at it as well. And these are the 5 IB World Schools across Malaysia, from Penang to Ipoh to KL to Subang down to Johor. And we have a lovely one up in the Bridge of Allen in Scotland. Has anyone watched Braveheart? You know the Mel Gibson Braveheart? Okay, good. Do you remember the last place he died? The battle where the last one where he lost basically, where he was then killed by a horrible way. Yeah, that battle, the field is right beside my school in Scotland. Okay, so that's the easy bit. Welcome, please come. Come on in, please. Come. Have a seat. Welcome. Try not to go too far back because we're not in a big group.
Yes.
Another thing you need to know about us as well, that's really important for context, is Fairview is listed on the London Stock Exchange ever since October of 24. And while this is a bit of a distant thing, what you need to know as parents is we're not a fly-by-night school. We didn't just appear in Malaysia. We've been around for 40 plus years. That LSC badge, the only value that it has to you is corporate and financial governance. And that's what you need to know. We're not here to mess around. We've been around for a while and we're very, very strong. Now, there's a lot of stuff I can tell you about us. But I'm a teacher, so I like to keep things in the rule of 3s. Everybody knows you can't memorize more than 3 things at a time. Did you learn that? Good. So I give you 3 things to remember about us. 1, we prepare children for life, not exams. Very big belief of ours. Second is we deliver results. And finally, we're made of substance, not show. I'll explain each one by one. This is a very, very tall claim. A lot of schools will use words like future ready and I don't know, other words, but the question I would ask you, and since you're shopping around the schools, ask them, if you're going to say you prepare my children for life, let's pick one, like presentation skills, okay? And you say, how do you do it? 9.5 out of 10 schools will tell you, we give your child 100 opportunities to present, and magically they're going to be amazing. It's about the practice for them, okay? So they say the typical modus operandi is, if you practice A enough, you'll be good at A. I play badminton, and I know if you gave me a badminton racket, and I've never learned how to play badminton before, no matter how much I swing, I will never be as good as my
national level. I had a friend called Colin back at university. He was a national level Sarawak player. No matter how much I practiced, my tenacity, my fitness level, he would totally destroy me every time. Because one swing of his used so much less power. His positioning was perfect. There is a limit to how much opportunity it can give you before theory needs to take over. Theory and then opportunity, that's the mix. A lot of people only do the opportunity. Why? Because they haven't done the research on what the theory should be. These are the 6 attributes that we believe prepare children for life. And these are curated from areas like the World Economic Forum's white paper on the skills for the next century. So we sat down and said, look, how are we going to do this? We're not just going to say we do it. We're going to have to determine or analyze. Analyze means break down into its component parts, something that the IB would have taught you. We analyze like what are the skills they need anyway. So we said these are the key 6 things that every child needs in order to survive in the world tomorrow. There's a couple more things, but these are the most important 6. And I'm going to go through it. Don't worry about trying to understand it. What I want you to take from this is, 1, when we say, and you're going to hear this again and again, when I say I do something, there is a very long, detailed plan behind that. We are very intentional and structured about our approach. We don't mess around. Second thing is, when I say I do A, I will get very precise on exactly how we're going to do A. Precision is important because there's great technological advances on how to do these things, and we need to be extremely precise to do things well. The third thing is, I don't do practice non-stop, bad theory, right? Or the building bad habits. You know, if you practice public speaking a lot, and you never got the theory of how to speak, you just end up building bad habits. And it sticks with you the more you practice. It's actually really bad for you. So we do theory and then practice. And I'm going to show you how that works. I'm going to take 3 things out of this 6. I won't tell you all of it, because it's too much. And you can ask me if you want to know about any of the others, by the way. I will do values, soft skills, and purpose, and I won't do the other 3, just for brevity's sake. But let's start with this, values. A lot of parents ask me, how do you develop values in my children? I think it's really important. It's a very big buzzword. Everybody says values, but they have no idea how to do it. What we know from the research is, if you stick a kid in morals class and then tell him, an old woman walks across the road, what do you do? And he says, hold her hand. It has no measure or no translation to real life. Teaching values in an isolated class is not effective. That is what all the research tells us. Values cannot be told in 2 ways. I cannot tell you to be a good person, that's 1. And 2, I can't do it in a discrete class. It doesn't work. There are 2 key things about values that we know. 1, in order for values to be developed in a person, I'm sorry I'm using you, they need to choose the value themselves. There is no way that I can push it upon them. That's called brainwashing, and that probably wouldn't last very long. They must discover it, and I'm going to show you how. It's very easy. You can use this at home. The second one is, it needs to be done in line with activities of daily life. So let's just say, you play netball, basketball, netball. When you play netball, I teach you values at the same time. When you, have dinner, I teach you values at the same time. Values have to be done in line with daily activities, not in a separate class. It doesn't work there. Okay, so these are 2 key things. As parents, you can actually pick up on this and teach values to your own kids, and I'll teach you the way that we do it. Super simple. So we use something called the IB profile, IB learner profile, which is a set of 10 values. A value is a word like caring or principled and stuff like that. That's our mantra because the IB gave us that. And this is our technique. It's called the moral dilemmas method. In each class that you go through, so let's just say I'm a middle year student, I have 8 classes in a day, or 8 classes in a week, or 8 different subjects. In 10 minutes of my science class, 10 minutes of my math class, 10 minutes of my English class, every class I'll get 10 minutes of this, the teacher will stop, and I'm going to give you a science example, okay? Kids, we just learned about Watson and Crick. It's a bio class. You just learned about the genetic double helix, how he won this amazing Nobel Prize, blah, 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 blah. Good, very good, right? Okay, now picture yourself as Watson and I'm Crick, and you just discovered that I stole the idea for the double helix from a PhD student. You're holding on to that Nobel Peace Prize right now with me, and we're standing in the banquet room, tossing, drinking with the other Peace Prize winners, and it's all really happy and stuff, and you just figured this out. I want each of you in pairs to discuss what would you do in that scenario, and I want you to put on and consider the principled hat. Now, the kids would have been prepped in advance. They know what the word principled means. It means sticking to your values or integrity. And so they will now discuss. I will give them 10 minutes to talk. And that during this time, as a teacher, I will not interrupt their conversation. And frankly, I don't care what endpoint they get to. It's not relevant. Whether they say they'll keep it, whether they say they will give it back, or whether they will shout at the guy, it's not relevant for me. Because what I need the kid to do is chew. And when they start chewing on it, I guarantee you, nobody wants to be a bad person. Nobody, or I've never met a person who wants to be a bad guy. They'll do it temporarily, for a short while. You do it enough times, they'll break. And that is the perfect way to teach your kids values. Give them a moral dilemma and let them chew. And don't judge, don't force them into it. And even if they make the wrong choice the first time, do it again and again, and have faith, and they will arrive at it. It's beautiful to watch. The second thing I want to talk to you about is something called the Socratic method. Now, the Socratic method is a big word. It's a big fancy word. All it means is, I will not tell you that you are supposed to be principled. I will guide you there by asking you questions. What do you think the consequences of that are? Do you feel you can be authentic to yourself as you continue to do that? And speak at conferences later on, Mr. Watson. How do you feel about the integrity of your work? Everything after that. Do you feel you can hold your head up high? What are your thoughts about this? How do you think you should confront or how do you think you should speak to your partner? The Socratic method is essentially a technique of coaching. If you're in business, you would have heard the coaching technique a lot. And the Socratic method is exactly just that. In the education world, we use a different word just to confuse you. We call it inquiry. Okay? You'll hear the word buzzword, inquiry-based teaching and learning. I'll give you the secret behind inquiry. A lot of schools say they do inquiry. And then you walk into the classroom. What does the word inquiry mean to you? Gain knowledge? Inquiry? Find out more. So, am I allowed to ask questions in inquiry? Please have a seat. Hi.
Yeah, sorry.
So I'll give you an example of what inquiry isn't, which most people are doing. When did World War II start? Who shot who won who built the wall, who did this? Now I'm doing questions in rapid fire, right? That's very commonly what most people understand to be inquiry. That is not inquiry, that's called interrogation. Inquiry is, what do you think about the death of, what do you think you would feel like if you killed 2 million people in the course of 3 years? Who do you think had the moral upper hand in the war, the World War II? Who was right and who was wrong? What are your thoughts? That's really interesting. What would your feelings be if somebody just walked into your house and said, it's my house now? Tell me how you feel about that. Inquiry is the process of driving curiosity, not asking questions. A lot of people make that mistake in terms of inquiry. So when you go around asking yourself, that, what kind of atmosphere do I want my children to be? Do you want your children to be interrogated? Or do you want your children to be in an environment where drawing out curiosity is the priority? Yeah? By the way, that is called the Socratic method as well. They're just basically different jargon for the same thing. I'm going to do this one, the next one. This is the second most commonly asked question to a lawyer love parents. Do you teach my kids skills? Now, I gave you all the problem of most schools, what they do. So, you want to learn presentation skills? 9 out of 10 will say, if you practice enough, you'll get there, somehow, magically. Which is nonsense. I told you about my experience at badminton. You just build bad habits and you won't get there. Yeah? So what did we do over here? The IB basically gave us 144 skills to teach you guys. They don't do this in St. Joseph's, by the way. Because this is purely us. It stops there. And because with this 144 skills, we took 42 MBA models. Things like Johari's window. Have you heard of the word norming, forming, storming, performing? Okay, that's like a teamwork structure. There's something called the Toolman's argument construction model. Okay, so there are established ways of thinking and doing things that are taught to typically MBA students. Okay, and we took about 42 of these and we teach this to your children. Now here's where the magic comes in. In a normal scenario, the student first he learns how to present from teacher A, right? He goes up a year level. Oh, let's not do that. Teacher A is a math teacher, so he presents in his math class using the math teacher's technique. He goes to his science class, and teacher B says, no, that's not the right way to present. Very common, each teacher has their own way of presenting. Teacher B says, no, present like this. Teacher C goes, no, present like this. You see the problem that's beginning to happen? You're going to get a very confused child. Well-meaning teachers, but very confused children. And the next problem being, I'm in year 5, and I go to year 6, and all the year 6 teachers have a different way of teaching presentation skills. This is called vertical and horizontal planning. It's not done. The first problem is they don't even know how to teach presentation. By the way, we use the Toastmasters 10 steps for presentation. It's very simple, well used all around the world. And every teacher from year 3 all the way up to the IB diploma uses the same thing across all levels. So the language of the teachers will sound like this. I am going to give you an assignment where you need to present the argument for, let's do something spicy. We're doing genetics, I'm a bio teacher. So we're doing contraception, and kids, women are often allowed to, in some places, abort their children, right? And they can give up their rights to motherhood doing that kind of thing. But men can't seem to because they have to pay child support. Do you feel that this is the right way forward, the wrong way forward? Discuss. Okay? So what we're doing is we're now giving them another moral dilemma to discuss about all of this, and I want you to present this to me later as well. But because I've presented it to you, I've already taught you biology, and I've taught you how to present using Toastmasters 10 techniques. Every year group will also use the same technique. So the math guy will say, okay, we just did Pythagoras theorem, or the art guy says, okay, we just did the Renaissance artist. Tell me your favorite artist and why you did it. By the way, I know your bio teacher taught you the 10 Toastmaster steps, so you have to use the same one, yeah? Don't go and use a different one. And then the PE teacher will use the same thing, and the English teacher will use the same thing. And now that consistency breeds mastery because everybody's aligned and well thought out. This is called the Toolbox program, and this is a program that we won an award for in 2014 at the International School Awards because of its design. Okay, I'm not going to jump through too much. We have a camp here because we believe that leadership is really important. So kids go away one time a year to a 5-day camp in our place in Port Dixon, and they learn about leadership via the 7 habits structure. Have you all heard of that? Just raise your hand if you know about 7 Habits of Highly Successful People book. Do you know it? Heard? Okay. You guys know the book at the back? The 7 Habits? Yeah, it's a very, very popular book. So there's a leadership program tied to that book. We do that leadership, by the way. So if you want to know what we do there, it's that one. Well-being, the only thing I want to tell you about this is we have counselors on site, and I didn't tell you my history. I used to be a psychiatrist in my last life. So that's why when you call me doctor, you're not calling me a doctor from PhD. It's medical cut people doctor. Do you know the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist? Psychiatrist can give medicine. Psychologist? Psychologist just talk. Okay, so the easy way I like to remember about it is the psychologist is a nice guy that you break up with your girlfriend and the psychologist sits you down and talks to you. The psychiatrist is the not so nice guy. If you see wolves and aliens flying around, he puts you in a straitjacket, gives you electroconvulsive therapy. That's the psychiatrist, that's me. So my last job was putting people in asylums and injecting them full of stuff. So I dealt with absolutely insane guys. But mental health is one of my core passions in this school, and I do drive it with a passion. The biggest problem is, in mental health, and this is true of everywhere, we do too little, too late. Boy meets girl, boy breaks up with girl, we don't do anything. Boy's crying now, don't do anything. Boy is bashing his head against the wall, calling his friends, crying all over the place. His class, his academics is disrupted. We don't do anything. Boy wants to jump off the building. Suddenly the counselor arrives. Too late. I keep telling all the counselors around the world, you're too little, too late. You should have been there when the boy broke up with the girl. Wrong time. So the style that we approach mental wellness in this school, the only thing I want you to take home from that is we are proactive. We go out hunting for trouble. We don't wait for trouble to arrive at our doorstep. And that's about as much as I think you need to carry right now. I'm very cognizant about these things, so your mental load, so don't carry too much. The other one is we have really fun trips that we go around the world once a year as well. Every child has to go. So I'll give you an example of what we do there. It's not a typical trip. So let's just say you go to, you know the Suu Kyi, have you been to the Suu Kyi tunnels? Do you know the Suu Kyi tunnels? It's the ones in Vietnam where the Viet Cong were hiding in the tunnels, the dark tunnels.
If you're claustrophobic.
Yeah, it gets very claustrophobic down there. So this is an example of why we're different. Most schools will say, Agent, please organize a school trip for my kids. Agent will say, yes, sure, I'll do it. The only difference I'll make is I'll charge you more and I'll add another tour guide because it's now safe because I added one human being. And I won't go to the super dangerous places. That's essentially what happens most of the time. Okay? Now that's normal. What we do is, tour guide, sort the hotel and the ground. I don't need you doing anything else. All right, kids, we're at the Suu Kyi tunnels. I want all of you to spend time in the Suu Kyi tunnels. Take your phone with you. Make sure you spend a minimum of 2 minutes in silence in the Suu Kyi tunnels. I want you to feel the atmosphere down there. If you have to run out, go ahead and run. But I want all of you to go for it. Come out of Suu Kyi tunnels, sit by the side of Suu Kyi tunnels. And I love this moral dilemma thing because the next thing we do is, okay kids, one of you take the side of the American, one of you take the side of the Vietnamese. And I want you both to debate this essential question. Who's the evil guy here? The American who's taking a flamethrower, burning the guy inside the hole who just had a really horrible time, probably sitting in that hole for the last day, burning to death. It's a really horrible way to die. Or it's the evil one, the evil Vietnamese guy who jumps out of the hole and shoots the American who just wants to go home because he's got family and a farm. Debate now. The kids will argue and fight, but the thing is, the magic is they're sitting right beside the tunnel. Now, when you do things like that, it's a form of immersion, and you have those discussions, the level of progression in your mind really changes. It's like learning English in an immersive environment. It's very different. So we design those very specific experiences into our school trips. And that's how it's different. And this is my favorite part. So there's a lesson for parents in this one, something that you can do at home. The biggest problem that I had, I went to IMU. I don't know, you guys know IMU? IMC used to be called in those days. And I applied to IMC, I remember, one day before the deadline. I had no idea why I was applying, and when somebody asked me, I said, because my brother applied, so I went and applied. I didn't know what a lawyer was, I didn't know what an engineer, I had no idea. I just applied, that's it. In our education system, when do you get any career advice? Let's see, Form 3, Science Stream, Art Stream. That's the extent of the conversation. That's it, really. Form 5, which pre-U do you want to go to? Taylor's Inti Sunway. You know, everybody's throwing on the typical conversation back there. That's it. Or SMET maybe nowadays, or SET. Then you get to the Form 6, and that's where the bloodthirsty uni guys will start attacking you and say, oh, would you like to come to Melbourne, or Canada, or America? So now it becomes a conversation about which country do you want to have a party in. And yes, we'll talk about, oh, this university is really good as well. This conversation, if you're telling by the way that I've spoken to you, is a highly superficial conversation. Because your journey is more than just one step, and your journey is more than what are you going to buy next. So instead of that, what we focus on here is purpose. What is your purpose? Now, I will give this to you as a freebie. Parents, you can use this on your kids easy. We use something called a 4-step purpose over here. And it's made up with four questions. And if you hear me, you'll know this very easy. Have any of you read Jim Collins' Good to Great? Just Jim Collins' Good to Great. No? Jim Collins? Oh, very, very good book. He's got something there called the hedgehog principle. So if you find time after this, go and find that thing. Very good. I'll read the 4 questions that we do with you. Imagine you're a year 5 student, so standard 6 kid, okay? And you're going to be asked 4 questions now. You're going to be asked 1 question in a 1 hour, 20-minute workshop, and then repeat the process, second question, 6 months later in another 1 hour, 20-minute workshop. And then 6 months, so it's like a 6-month thing. Okay. First question, what do you truly love? Question 1. Second question, what can you be the best in the world at? Third question, what drives your economic engine, or what can you be paid for? Now, these are 3 contextual questions to gather information. The first question, we can use something called a RISEC test to actually help give us information there. For the second question, the first question is about what do you love, yeah? In case you can't remember. The second question is what are you really good at? We use something called the VIA Strengths test to help inform the child a little bit more, because it's really hard to get the engine going. And the third test is the simplest one of all. We just show you like who's earning money right now, what are the typical salaries, so that ChatGPT can help you. We combine it all using the 4th question. And the question sounds like this. Actually, I will ask you. What great big problem would you not mind dedicating the next, for you it's 4 years of your life solving? Just think about it first. Now, why did we ask this question? What great big problem? First part of that question is, if you don't solve a problem, nobody's going to pay you nothing. The whole purpose of working and bringing value to society is solving problems. Now, big, why did I say big? You solve big problems, you get big remuneration. You solve small problems, you get small remuneration. If you're going to sweep the floor and solve a small problem, you get janitor pay lah. But if you solve a big problem, guess what are the biggest problems in the world today? Do you know what's the UN SDG? The biggest problems in the world are the UN SDG. You solve that problem, you'll get the biggest remuneration ever in the world. What great big problem are you willing to dedicate your life to? So I'm indicating a sense of choice now, and I gave it a time frame, 4 years, because he's going to uni. For my kids, I will say 2 years. Because you don't get to decide for 30 years, you just choose what I'm going to focus on for the next 2 years. Now, the first time that kids do this, they say, I want to be a fireman, I want to drive a tank, I want to be a YouTuber or something like that. Or a pro gamer, that's very common. The first time they do it is in Standard 6 and Form 1. The second time they do it is Standard 5 and Standard 6. The second time they do it is Form 1 and Form 2. We do this a total of 3 times, by the way. The first time you do it, it's a mess. But I don't know about you, but it took me 13 girlfriends to find a wife, so I kind of understand some things don't work on the first run. The second time they did it, they start getting more serious. They're like, Dr. V, we've already done this before. I kind of know how this works. It's so boring. But okay, I thought through the process. I want to be a banker because it makes a lot of money. Lawyers make a lot of money. I want to do that stuff. And I want to be a Ferrari car dealership owner because that makes a lot of money too. So by the second time, it starts getting smarter. And by the third time they do it, I'm sick and tired of this, Dr. V, but I'll go through the motion because you asked us to. I want to be a cybersecurity engineer. Now, the magic is in 2 parts. 1, a very structured approach to finding purpose. And 2, the repetition over time creates a very interesting result. And because I've done it with them 3 times, they can do it a 4th at home. And I've given them all the tools. So what's your answer? So you want to do something with sustainability to make it less tedious, because it's kind of tedious being sustainable right now. Good statement. Have you thought of it before? Your purpose? You're one of the very few who's actually thought that. But very nice. So I've only gone through the first part. And what I want you to understand is, the first thing that you need to remember about me is, we make sure that we prepare your children for life, not exams. And I've just shown you how we do that. Because I want you to see, when I say I do something, I'm not joking around. We have a very specific way of doing things. The second thing I want you to remember about me is, even though I prepare children for life, I still deliver results. But before I deliver results, I have to tell you about the IB, because a lot of people don't understand the IB very well. How many people think it's American American. Who won the bet money? It's American. Okay, how many people think it's British? Any takers for British? Okay. How about Australian? No? No takers? Everybody else has no idea. Okay, we'll go with that. The IB, 3 things to remember. I like the rule of 3. The first one, best practices make compulsory. And the way for you to remember this, parents, and this is why I talked about curriculum first, not school. Every curriculum in the world has what we call the curriculum document. The Malaysian ministry, the UK, Canada, Australia, same stuff, okay? The process is the same. They have this document called the curriculum document. It basically details everything you have to teach, and at the bottom of it, it will also detail how they want you to teach it. This how is actually what we call pedagogy, okay? So I'm going to use the word pedagogy from now on. The pedagogy between all of these curricula are the same. Because frankly, when one person changes, everybody copies. Okay? So you need to understand the context. The wording that they will use over here is, these are 10 good things that you should do in class. Please do them. It's a good idea. Every curriculum does the same thing. They will say, these are 10 good things to do in class. You should do them, please do them. Yeah. The IB says this. These are 10 good things to do in class. If you don't do them, you don't get your license. Key difference. One side variable, one side fixed standards. I have many good friends who are excellent teachers on this side, teaching the IGCSE curriculum. But I know that they're a dime a dozen and they're a huge variable. But I know the standard on this side. Because you can't fall below a certain level. They have to use the technique. Otherwise, when the IB comes for checks, and they do come for checks, ours is coming next year, they will take away the school license straight away. And they are brutal about this process. The IB comes for 3 days with 3 people. They sit in the classes. They talk to parents without the teachers present. They talk to kids without the teachers present. And they say, did the teacher actually do what he said he was going to do? And there's no hiding from these guys. So they are very, very thorough. And that's why the IB standard is so high. Their standard is not anything higher than the UK national curriculum. The only difference is they enforced it. The only difference that you need to understand. So if anybody tells you, oh, they do different things, blah, 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 hey, sorry, every school should be doing that. It's just that they don't do it because they don't enforce it. That's all. That's the only difference between them. So the first one, the IB is best practices made compulsory. I'm going to tell you the second reason, and I think parents will understand this more than kids for what it is different. It's truly international. So I went through the UK national curriculum when I was a kid. I was actually in the school as a child. And I went over to my dad, and he was stuck in his C dramas, Chinese dramas. And he was watching about the Opium War. Do you know about the Opium War? Essentially, it's British guy came to China, tried to sell drugs. Chinese guy said no. British guy went bomb, bomb, bomb. Chinese guy went, okay, please sell your drugs now. That's it, okay? And by the way, it's 100 years of torture. We take your land, and we take your Hong Kong Island while we're at it. So that's essentially the summary of the Opium War. So I told my dad, hey, what is this? Dad, I've never heard of this. I've gone through IGCSE history. I should know this stuff. I did we call it world history. I don't know about it. And so he said, Vincent, let's ask questions one by one. Who wrote your history book? I said, I think it's English. 2. Do you really think that they will tell you all the horrible things they did? No. Every history book, every science book, every literature book is laced with bias from the country that makes it. Because frankly, what's the hidden agenda of education? To make good, compliant citizens. So a kid going to British international school, everything is, I love Britain, Britain great. They're not going to tell you Britain's not good. You go to, I don't know, Albania International School, they'll tell you Albania is good. Same with Australia, that's just the way it works. It's a naturally biased system. So I usually tell parents, if you want to go to international school, go to international school. But please, for God's sakes, don't go to a British international school and say that you're international, because that's a lie. It's not true. If you want your children to grow up in a multicultural environment, then you need to ask yourself the question, what culture is my children taking home? Now the IB is the only one I've seen do this. They don't belong to the British Americans or the Australians or anybody. They have offices in all of those countries, but they say, We will draw, we have no textbook in the school, by the way. No textbooks are allowed in the school, and the IB's banned it. We will draw from multiple sources, websites, books, reference, everything. And when a student learns, they're not allowed to use a textbook. Because the moment they use a textbook, we know it's all biased already. So they research, or the teacher provides them with sources from multiple locations. And they learn an unbiased view of history. Kids don't understand this very well, and I didn't get this at that age, but parents, there's a concept called the third culture child. A really messed up kid who doesn't know where his roots are. This is a very real problem affecting the alpha generation that are coming through right now, that is talked about widely in many parenting circles. That is a real danger for our children, so be aware of this. The third one, and I'm going to skip to this because it's easy. If 100 students from the A levels went to apply to Harvard, or the 100 American ADP people went to apply to Harvard, 5 guys get in. If 100 IB students applied, 12 get in. You can see the numbers by yourself. This is correct as of 2018. It's a little bit old, but nobody did the research recently, that's all. Same thing for Stanford. You can see 4.65 up to 17. This is not a 20% increase, this is a doubling effect. Okay? In that document over there, there's 25 universities that will tell you exactly the same thing, where IB students are accepted at the best universities at double or triple the rate of every other pre-university out there. And if you want to ask me about the UK, this is damning statistics, which basically say IB students get to the top 20 universities in the UK at 3 times the rate of their own IGCSE students. So if they're discriminating against their own, what are you doing it for? What's the point? So, and these are hardcore statistics. I can tell you a lot of stuff, but that's way better. I do not have statistics for Australia and Canada. I can anecdotally only tell you that Australian and Canadian universities really like the IB as well. But I don't have the statistics, so I'm not going to fool you with that. Okay? So if you want to know what the IB is, it's the primary years program, middle years program, and the IB diploma program. That basically runs all the way to the A-level equivalent years. After that, you go to university. That's what you did, right? And then there's the primary years and the middle years. If you think that the diploma program is good, what would have happened to you if you had 13 years of the IB instead of 2? You'd be a very different person by now. Now, when I told you we deliver results, I want to show you this cert. This cert is a very important cert, and it says that I am the #2 IB school in Malaysia last year. What I will also tell you is that I was the #1 IB school for the last 4 consecutive years before that. For every year for the last 5 years, I'm also what we call a top 100 IB school in the world. We have held this title for 5 straight years. This is the result that we deliver. We don't mess around, we deliver. Now there's a lot of other things that we do to prepare children for life, but we still deliver. And we keep our promises. This is a screenshot from the website that you can individually search, and that shows my listing over there. By the way, the reason why you see 99 and 100 is because there are a lot of schools at the 80 point with me. So everybody has the same score. And finally, I want to tell you about substance, not show. Many of you don't get this. It's basically we're substance over form kind of thing. We're not here to just bluff people with marketing show. There's a lot of concrete substance, and I hope you've seen it by now. But I'm going to show you some stuff here. This is the average school fees of international schools around the world. This is a very interesting chart, and it will show you that actually Malaysia is a super cheap place. It's probably one of the cheapest places to go to international schools in the world. But let's get more spicy. If I take that list of top 100 IB schools, and then I get a sample of them and I put them over here, and you have the school name over there, country, and you have their school fees, and then you can see how many times more expensive they are than Fairview. There isn't a single school I found on that list that is more reasonable than we are. I couldn't find one, and I searched the whole list out. That's our average school fees in this campus, by the way. Okay? A lot of people ask me, what's the Malaysian average? There are 3 schools in Malaysia that do the IB program like I do. When I say do the IB program, I mean like primary, secondary, and tertiary. I'm not interested in the guys that only do the last 2 years. By the way, a little bit behind the scenes knowledge, the DP program is the easiest program in the IB to run. Because it has, in the DP program, the pedagogy is not as strictly enforced as the younger years. Okay? So it's the easiest. So you find a lot of DP schools out there. But the ones that run the full continuum, that's me. There's 3 of us doing it. Mont Kiara, IGB, Uplands, and then me. Right? And that's the average school fee that we're looking at in Malaysia, if not more now. So a lot of parents say, how? How do you do it? And I'll be very blunt. There are 2 techniques I do only. So anybody who's ever done interviewing, and I'm doing a lot of, my friends are doing a lot of sales people interview these days. A lot of people complain, business owners are complaining, I can't get good sales people. And they say, I use the top grading technique of asking great skills, I do interview tasks, but it's still a 50-50. And the reality is, in the concept of talent management, which is to increase the talent of an organization, parachuting people in through interview is a really rubbish way of doing things. Because the interviewer is always incentivized to embellish the truth. And you're there as an interviewer, the interviewee is embellishing the truth, and the interviewer is playing cat to try and catch the guy and see who is truthful. It is a crazy cat and mouse game. It doesn't work. And moreover, you're subject to market forces and it's expensive. So what do? The only alternative? Grow. Remember I told you about the university that we have? The one that only teaches teachers? Now our university has a special certificate given by the IB to only 64 universities in the world to say, your university, as long as anybody graduates from these 2 programs, PGDE and Masters, they will get an additional certificate from us to say you are in alignment with the IB. This is an IB aligned course. It's called the IB Educator Certificate. We are the only ones in Malaysia capable of doing this. The next guys are up in Tokyo and in Melbourne and Hong Kong University. Nobody else can do this. So we grow a lot of talent. We train 200 plus teachers in the school every year, including teachers from the other IB schools as well. The second reason why we're really good at being responsible about our fees is because we believe in substance, not show. I have a football field. It's not AstroTurf. It's not FIFA quality level. I have a basketball court. It's not got sprung flooring and NBA level hoops, because your kids don't need that. I've been to schools where the one that's teaching them how to play, teaching a 5-year-old how to play football is a national coach. I walked up to the principal and said, this kid can't even play football. Why are you bringing a national coach? You just need a regular dude to do that. This is irresponsible use of funds. Here we believe in being responsible. You do not need a national coach to teach your 5-year-old boy how to play football. When he's better, sure, we'll start bringing in the more advanced guys. And that's okay. You don't need an Olympic-sized swimming pool, you need a swimming pool. Well, I have quite a big swimming pool. You don't need AstroTurf ultimate FIFA level football fields, you need a football field. A lot of schools will spend money on those things. Why? Simple. And the reality is to trick you. That's all it is. It's called show. And show and tell. We have auditoriums, we have multi-purpose halls, we have classrooms. They all fulfill their function. I'll give you another wonderful way. If you see a school with this, run. Smart boards. If you see a school with smart boards, run. Because there is no evidence that smart board helps in the education process at all. They're just there to look fancy so to impress the parents. But any real educator knows it's complete rubbish. So we don't do that kind of thing because we are very responsible with the way we spend money. And that's something you really need to know about us. And here's a question. Would you rather if you got sick, you had a heart attack, do you want to be in a hospital where it's a teaching hospital where the sensei doctors are there, training all the other doctors, everybody's learning and growing? Or do you want to be in another hospital where they're just mercenaries, doing their job and trying to go home? It's very simple. I'd rather be with the senseis. This school is a teaching hospital. We teach other IB teachers how to teach. You're not going to find that anywhere else. And to conclude, it's very important to remember what we are not as much as what we are. And what we're not is very clear. So We believe in preparing students for life, not exams. We are not an exam factory. If you want your A's, you want to be able to share to your friends, oh, my son has 10 A's, this is not the place for you. Because we don't subscribe to that, it's wrong. We're delivered by results. We deliver results. And we prove it year on year. If you want to be in a place that's going to say yes to everything you ask for and promise all sorts of things that they can't deliver, this is not the place for you. You need to be clear on that. Finally, we focus on substance. We're here to teach your kids, and we're here to use your funds that you give us responsibly. We're not here to create a cafe, a Starbucks in the school, so the mummies and daddies can have a little mummy and daddy moment after drop-off. That's not what we're there for. Please go to Starbucks next door to do that. This is a school, and we're going to teach your kids really well, and we're going to spend money in the two areas that we know are going to improve your child's education. One, great talent, and two, great educational programs. The rest, we'll spend a little bit, but you don't need it. You don't need much more after that. You just don't. So these are the things that we are, and it's very clear what we are not going to be. I don't fit every parent. You know, if you're a guy in Mont Kiara who wants the fanciest school and you want Dato and Tan Sri and whoever else to be in the school with you, this is not for you. Because we really don't entertain that sort of thing. But if you want a school who's hardcore at education, who knows what they're doing, and they're very firm about what they believe is right, and they execute and they deliver again and again and again, this is where you need to be. Thank you very much for your time. We'll take a couple of questions now, guys. So please, remember I asked you to think of one hard question. Hit me, Karen, please. We got 9 minutes. I'm going to invite the floor for you. I'm going to pick you directly because you're an IB student and you should ask me good questions. Please, anything.
What car do you buy?
Lexus hybrid hatchback. It's a bit old, but it's a great car.
Okay, you said that IB is an international origination, but where does it truly originate? Which country?
The starters actually came from the International School of Geneva. So a bunch of the International School of Geneva has international teachers, so Germans and Austrians in Austria, all sorts of teachers there. So a bunch of these guys came out and said, this system that we're doing is terrible, let's create a new system. And a whole bunch of international educators just came together and created it. This was in the 60s or something. It's really old. And from there they built year on year something new until we arrived where we are today. So it didn't belong to anybody. It wasn't a government initiative. It's very closely linked to the UN because they really like the UN sort of thinking process, but it is not officially affiliated.
You showed that the annual fee is about 40K.
Yeah,
I think it's around 60K.
I said.
I thought it was around 60K.
The average. So average means you have to average all the years out. Yeah, so in order to compare schools, what we do is you take the bottom, you take the top, and then average the whole range up to get an average. So it's easier to do that.
The middle school is about.
It's a bit higher, yeah. So this one's including the primary as well. Yeah. Any other questions at all, please? Yes.
Thank you. For me, because we like recruiting students from
Yes.
all over places, I would love to know, because I saw the first picture, it looked like diverse. So if the school is diverse,
What's the population makeup?
I mean, yeah, do you have like black kids?
Yep, good question. So in this school, we maintain a compulsory 50% local maximum cap, and then everybody else comes from everywhere else. Then our one nationality max cap is 18%. So, for example, I'll give you something interesting happening today. In a very famous school, which shall stay unnamed, 300 children arrived in August. It was a huge intake. More than 200 of them came from one country, a very big one up north. And the whole population of the school and culture of the school transformed because of that. It was a mess, an absolute disaster. 2 other schools followed the same practice as well. Why? They got greedy. Just tick. So we've broken our 18. We're at 20 right now, but we're really desperately trying to cap that right now to bring in other non-that nationality students so that we have a better mix. So we are keeping our quotas as much as we really can, but I did fail. I went to 20 instead of 18. Yeah. You're welcome. Any other questions at all? Hit me with something hard and painful, please. Boys, you can do something good, right? Ask me something really tough, like do you serve ice cream? I mean, that's what matters, right? Yeah, okay, I'll take you up on that. Question? Ready? No? Really? How about you? You gotta have a good question. It matters to you. Okay, a bit of Adam. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
My son has not decided which career pathway he's going, so he likes accounts, he likes biology, but then he does not know where to go. So how flexible are the IB subjects? I mean, can they switch midway? See if they're not interested in a particular subject and they switch midway?
Good, very good question. Unfortunately, I don't get to cover everything about the IB because there's just so much to do, but I will do this part. In the O levels of the UK national system, at Form 3 to Form 4, you start going to the science stream or art streams where you start funneling. In reality, I'm a doctor, a psychiatrist who is in education. Your children, we estimated, do you know how many times we estimate they're going to change jobs before they hit 30? 5. Right? There is no way that they're going to probably take one degree and then stay with that for the rest of their life. The world tomorrow, it's already getting so crazy. This streaming idea is nuts because the idea of streaming is go deep and specialize as soon as you can. If you think of that statement and you think about the reality, they're going to change it. Why are you going deep again? Isn't it better to be generalist? So what the IB does is it does not allow students to close their doors too early. In the Form 3 to in Form 4 equivalent, we allow the students to break into either two sciences, not 3, 2 sciences, and or 2 humanities. In IB diploma, they cannot go full art. They still need to take one subject from each of the 6 categories. The categories are first language, English, second language, Malay. If you're Malaysian, third language, PM. You must take a humanities, must, no choice. Usually they take business and management or econs or psych. Then you take one science, biophysics, chemistry, and then you take your math, and then you take your art, your visual art as well. Now, if you think, taking visual art, did you do visual art or did you double science? You double science, okay. Taking humanities at Form 6, where all your other A-level friends are doing chemistry, physics, math. What? Doing literature at Form 6 while your friends are so focused? Is this a bad idea? To me, no. My advice is don't close your doors so early. You don't need to. You're going to be alive for a very long time. Don't rush. I see a lot of parents trying to get this competitive age by rushing into it. Don't. I'm a graduate of the IGCSE at 14 years old. So I'm an example of why you should never rush. Don't rush your children to specialize in something because the options of tomorrow are so wide. We don't know what's going to happen. It is better to stay generalist for longer than to hyper-specialize at a younger age. So that's my thought process, and that's what we do over here. Does that answer your question?
That's one of the reasons why we prefer IB over A-levels.
Yes.
Because A-levels is very specific. You've got to decide on whether you want to go in science or business, accounts, etc. So during the IB diploma, will there come a point where the tutors would, coach my kids to actually decide on which career path to go on? Because at the end of the diploma, they will have to make a choice anyways.
Okay, so I don't use the word career path, we talk about purpose instead. So we will go through the Aspire 4-step again. Okay, so that's the internal stuff, so that you get a decision of your own before you talk to the vultures, okay? Because they will come and peck at you. Then we have a partner called Uni Enroll. I don't know whether you know who they are. Okay, basically, if there's a uni placement partner, the largest in Malaysia, online, very democratic guys, It's called Uni Enrollment. Okay, go and search them up later. Very good guys. And we have a partnership with them where all of our students will have training by them, and they just released their AI's career support software. Go and explore that. They're amazing people, and they come and help our guys with the specifics of uni choice. But before they get to that point, we do the internal conversation about purpose first, because I don't want to let my kids get hit by the vultures and told what to do before they have this conversation by themselves about purpose. It's far more important. Does that help? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No worries. And a hard question. Please hit me with something so that it hurts. Any question from yourselves, perhaps? Any question? You have a question, young lady? No, don't worry. Nobody's gonna poke on you. Anything at all? How am I incorporating what? How am I incorporating AI in the curriculum? Very good question. I'm surprised you hit that one. That's a good question. Most schools are in a disaster right now because they don't know how to handle AI. On one hand, the schools have to try and bring their kids to the 21st century and say, let's submit assignments digitally. Okay? They're all forced by this move to say, let's go to digital assignments and stuff. But on the other hand, this facilitates AI cheating. And they don't know how to go around this. So they pay for software like Turnitin, or it's basically cat and mouse games now. The more the kids go and use these things, the more expensive the software. It's a really silly, spiraling situation. Okay. Now the IB does this. Please use AI. Use more. Only thing I ask of you, reference it, please. And I want to see your line of thought. You can copy out of the AI and ask the AI to do your research with you and help you out there. But I want you to write down which parts you took out of AI and which parts you thought about for yourself. Now the IB basically said, we can't fight AI, and the reality is, in your tomorrow, you better know how to use AI. So this stopping you from using AI is actually really dumb. Because if you don't know how to use AI tomorrow, you're gonna get wasted easily. So the IB said, no, let's work with them to push them to go and use more AI and focus on higher level skills. When you use AI, it's not that you lose all your ability, yeah? You basically shift the skill focus from dumb skills, the lower level skills, to different kinds of skills. For example, you start evaluating between different outputs and higher and more complex arguments. You're not just researching dumb stuff. That's the stuff we used to use Google for, right? So now our kids, instead of just doing the basic level research that anybody can do, they're going, okay, AI has given me 2 proposals on whether contraception, men should be allowed to relinquish their rights to fatherhood. Okay? AI has given me 3 arguments. And my job is not to go and do the basic research, because AI has done that for me, and in the future AI will continue to do that. I have to decide between the 3 arguments. That is a very high level skill that has way more value. And that's what we use in the IB. Right? So we transition the skills upwards. In class, we don't use that much of AI beyond GPT, frankly, because it's not necessary, but in our design tech curriculum, we are en route to integrating AI construction in very soon. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. We don't use AI too much for the rest, because we don't see it being very valuable at the moment. We are considering creating an AI parent bot, only because you send parents an email, sometimes you just lose it. So it's much easier giving you a bot to just say, where does my son have to stay home after school, stay back after school today? Yeah, his class is until 3:30, please don't come. Yeah, that's the only use we're about to deploy for AI. That's an excellent question, thank you for that. Any other questions at all? Okay, without further ado then, Charles, do you mind just checking with the team? I think they're going to take everybody for the next round. Are they outside? Shall I just release them outside here? So after this, I believe you'll be going for the school tour in groups, and I'm just going to spend 2 seconds to make sure that your counselors are waiting for you outside, okay? Just 2 seconds. Guys, you ready?
everyone. Are we all ready for a campus tour? Yes. Alright, come. The team and I will then take you on a campus tour into different groups. So maybe we group 2 to 3 families in a group, and then we'll go on a tour. Right?
Okay, so let's maybe take 1, 2.